I don't know if I'm recording. There we go. Hi, everyone. I'm Joy. I am the founder of Positive Discipline UK and a lead trainer for the Positive Discipline Association. So welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to start by letting you know I'm a little bit nervous because this is only my second time doing a live video on Facebook. So bear with me. Basically, well, let me give you a little bit of my background for those of you that don't know me. I've been an educator for over almost 25 years. And what I'd like to do here, I'm a parent educator, I'm a teacher trainer, I do corporate work. So I do a lot of work around psychology and understanding belief systems. And I'd like to share a lot of what I know that works in the classroom with kids and for parents. So that's really my hope to share as an educator and a mother. After today, I'm going to be sharing every night starting Monday, so Monday through Friday at 8:30 p.m. I'll be broadcasting live, and every time we'll focus on a different topic, and you will be getting, I promise, my goal is you'll get a little bit of theory, but mostly what I want to focus on is making sure that you have tools and strategies and activities that you can begin using with your children straight away. So that's what we're hoping to do. I'm hoping to keep these sessions between 10, 15 minutes tops because I know you don't have a lot of time to sit there and you'll have to be with your kids. So, and you'll be tired at the end of the day. So I'm going to keep them short, but what I will do at the end of each session is that I have some people saying it's not working, so I'm hoping that it is working. I will have a Q&A at the end of each session. So if you log in live, then you can ask your questions, and I'll be trying to answer some of those at the time. If not, I'll collect them, and I will answer some questions later on. So let's start. Today, what I want to focus on is stress and overwhelm. And I know I've been getting a lot of messages from teachers, parents, a lot of the people that I'm coaching, both in the UK and abroad, about managing stress and the overwhelm and the uncertainty that everyone's feeling and the anxiety about having to work from home, be with the kids all day, manage distance learning and all of that. So I'd like to address that a little bit. So what we're going to talk about is a strategy to help you maintain your calm, at least most of the time throughout the day. You won't be able to do it all the time, and they will definitely, all of us will lose it at some point during the week, and probably more than usual because of the stressful situation. So what we're going to do is we're going to first talk about what happens in the brain when we're stressed out. And then I'm going to give you some strategies. I'm going to actually read you a children's book that will help you as well. And I'll talk about some activities you can do with your kids so that you can teach them what's happening in the brain and what they can do to calm down. So actually, what I'm going to share with you now comes from the work of Dr. Daniel Siegel. And he's a psychologist. He's written many books. If you're not familiar with his work, I highly recommend either watching his videos, TEDx talks, or basically different, sorry, people are saying they can't see me, so I hope I'm doing this right. If you can see me and it's working, let me know. Let's see. I see some comments and people can come on, so let's see what happens. So Daniel Siegel, some of the books he's written that I love, The Whole Brain Child, The Yes Brain, No Drama Discipline, and this activity that I'm going to do comes from his book, Parenting from the Inside Out. And what he does is he, so yeah, lots of people saying they can't connect with the live stream. So I'm not sure what's happening, but some people are saying yes. So I'm going to keep recording, and just those of you that can't see it, this will be saved and downloaded after it goes live. So we'll be good to go. So let me give you this activity. This is coming from Daniel Siegel, and he uses the hands to demonstrate what happens in the brain. So I'm going to ask you, if you're with me live, follow along with me. So Imagine that your hand is the brain. So if you look at your wrist and your forearm here, that's going to represent your spinal cord, which attaches right here to the brain stem, which is right in the back of your head. And that's the part of the brain that's responsible for all of your involuntary functions, right? Needed for survival. So your breathing, your swallowing, your heart rate, all of those things you don't have to really think about. And also, sorry, I'm trying to do this so it's centered. So also what's here is what we like to refer to as the reptilian brain or the primitive brain. So your flight, fight, freeze response. Okay. If you fold your thumb in, that's going to represent the limbic system. So you have different parts of the brain that sit there, like the hippocampus and the amygdala. Basically, that works very much with your primitive brain. And this is all called the lower part of the brain. And this is where you store past memories and emotions. All of your deep-rooted belief systems sit there. If you fold your fingers over, that's going to represent your cortex or the thinking part of your brain. This is all called the upper brain. And if you look here, this is the frontal lobe. And just here, if you look like where your fingernails are, if I were holding my hand like this, so that would represent what's right behind your forehead. We call that the prefrontal cortex. I want you to imagine that's kind of the part of the brain. I like to refer to it as the CEO of the brain. Okay, that's a part of the brain that's responsible for all of your executive functions, like planning and organizing, the ability to weigh risks and consequences and your decision making, your ability to regulate your feelings. So this is all your really higher level thinking. Now we know that the brain actually develops from the back to the front. So the last part to fully develop, and it's not fully developed till about the age of 26, sometimes even 27 years old, is this prefrontal cortex. Okay, so that's kind of helps us understand a little bit sometimes what younger kids and teenagers are going through because that part of their brain is not fully developed. So what happens is you can see that all of this is working well together when things are good and calm. But what will happen is when we're faced with stress, uncertainty, fear, if someone pushes an emotional button, okay, what can happen in the brain is we actually flip our lid. So when we flip our lid, what's exposed? This primitive reptilian brain, our limbic system, our fight, flight, freeze response. Okay, so this is where we go into survival mode. And this is where a lot of people are operating right now because, their fears, their stress, and that's where you have people, buying lots of toilet paper and all of that, they're not thinking possibly as rational or as calmly as they would if they were here and they were really coming from this higher level thinking. So when we flip our lid, this is really not the best place to communicate and talk it out because we're either going to fight, we're either going to flee, or we're going to freeze. That's kind of our response. So what we have to do when we're here is we have to get ourselves back here. So I'd love to ask you if this was live and I could interact with you. I would ask you, what are some strategies you use to go from here to here? And I'll share with you one of my best strategies is actually to breathe and practice mindfulness and some breathing techniques. So just taking some deep breaths in through your nose, holding into your belly, that can really help us go from here to here. And there's lots of breathing techniques that you can teach children, 7-Elevens, 444, finger breathing. Actually, a lot of these breathing techniques and mindfulness, we will be covering starting next Tuesday in the mornings in our I Grow Co sessions from 9 o'clock. And those will be sessions with parents and their kids. So we'll be teaching you and your children lots of strategies to go from here to here. But another thing that I want to teach you that helps us to go from here to here, and this is what we're going to focus on today, is taking a time out. So walking away from whatever it is that's stressing you out in the moment. Because once we remove that stress, we can kind of, get ourselves back here. So if you think about taking a time out in sports, so why do we take a time out in sports? Well, to catch our breath, to regroup, to strategize, right? But what's happened in parenting and in a lot of educational institutions is timeout has been used as a punitive measure. When a child is misbehaving, putting them in timeout, the naughty step, the naughty chair, the thinking, where they're feeling punished for actually something that isn't really under their control. Okay, so we want to take away the punitive aspect of timeout, and we want to look at it as a self-regulation tool. So using it as a strategy that can help any of us, not just children, but adults, go from here to here. So you can teach children using the model of the brain, what happens in the brain when we're stressed out, when we're upset, when we're feeling reactive. You would just simplify the language that I used. Another great way to teach children about the brain and what's happening is to read them one of my favorite children's books. It's called Jared's Cool Out Space. And it was written by Dr. Jane Nelson, who is the co-founder of Positive Discipline. And she is my mentor. She's an incredible woman. And I'm going to actually read this for you now. I'm hoping that you can get a copy and you can read it to your children. Just so I don't forget to tell you, you can get a copy from positivediscipline.com, which is Jane Nelson's website, or you can get it on Amazon. If you're not able to get a copy, I will read it now. I'll try to show you the illustrations, and maybe you can show the video to your children. And then after I read the story, I'm going to talk to you about creating a space in your home, an activity that you can do this weekend with your families so that you have a place to go to kind of calm down, even if you're the only one using it. So I'm going to kind of figure out where I can sit so you can see this. Bear with me. So this is called Jared's Cool Out Space. Wham! The back door swung open and Jared stormed in with a scowl on his face. Hello, Jared. Jared slammed the door as hard as he could. Crash! I can see that you're very upset. Do you want to talk about it? No! Jared yelled as he kicked the kitchen table. Ouch, cried Jared. Finally, Jared ran into his mommy's outstretched arms and cried while she held him. Soon, Jared stopped crying and took 2 deep breaths, the way Mommy had taught him. Jared told Mommy how he tripped and broke the clay bowl he made for Daddy's birthday. I'm sorry, Jared. You were so proud of that bowl. You must be feeling very sad about breaking it. I am sad, and I'm mad. It's okay to feel sad and mad. It isn't okay to hurt yourself or the table. You remembered to take deep breaths. What else could you do to calm down when you're upset? I don't know, asked Jared sadly. I have an idea. You want to hear it? Okay, Jared said. Mommy usually had pretty good ideas. If you could create a special place to help you to calm down, what would that place look like? Jared closed his eyes and thought and thought. I know, he shouted. It would be outer space. It would be dark and have lots of shining stars and a big colorful planet and a giant spaceship for me to ride in. That sounds like a great idea. What will you call your special place? I'll call it Jared's Cool Out Space because it will be like outer space and will help me to cool out. Okay, said Mommy, let's find a place in your room where we can create your special space. Jared pointed to a corner in his room and they found everything they needed to create his cool out space. Mommy painted the wall black. Jared cut out stars to tape on the walls. They painted styrofoam balls to look like planets and hung them from the ceiling. Finally, Jared painted a box to look like a spaceship and climbed inside with a happy grin on his face. Mommy asked, How are you feeling in your cool out space? Jared said, I feel happy here. Mommy smiled. Now are you ready to create a new gift for Daddy's birthday? A few hours later, go. Jared was angry. He felt his face get hot, his teeth clench, his heart race. He wanted to throw his paint jars and rip up his paper. Then he remembered his cool-out space and ran to his bedroom as fast as he could. He sat under the stars and planets. Jared forgot that he was in his bedroom. Soon, he thought, my face isn't so hot anymore. My heart has stopped racing. Jared felt his anger drift into space. He was cooling down. Jared was so excited. Mommy, my cool-out space really worked. I can see that it did, Mommy said. Now you know what to do to take care of yourself when you feel angry or upset. Yes, said Jared, and now I know what to make Daddy for his birthday. What? Mommy asked. His own cool-out space. So I hope you enjoyed that story. One of the things that I love about it is, first of all, it talks about all feelings being okay, that we don't want children to think that they can't feel angry or mad or even ourselves and beat ourselves up for it. But it's what do we do? What are the actions that we take that matter? So we don't like to refer to feelings as good feelings or bad feelings. All feelings are okay. But how do we respond to them? The other thing I like is it talks about the physiological effects on the body and what what children can look out for when they know that they're kind of flipping their lids. So their heart is racing, their face gets hot and they start to shake and their teeth clench. So teaching kids to understand the what's happening in the body so they can catch themselves is really, really helpful. So each session, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. And I hope that you'll take the time to do this with your children. So after you teach children about what happens in the brain, it's really important that they understand what's happening in the brain. Then I'd like you to try to create a space. Typically, we say have the child create their own positive timeout space. However, I would say it would be really helpful during this time to maybe create a family timeout space because everyone will be there together and it might be helpful to have a space that anyone in the house can use. So the first thing you would want to do is sit down as a family, learn about the brain, and then say, if we could create a space, what would we call it? First, give it a name. We've had lots of names like chill out zones and Zen corners and Hawaii even, and people do lots of different themes, beach scenes or Alaska, whatever place kind of makes you feel good. So first you would come up with a name and then you would talk about what items could you have in that space that would help you feel better. So for young kids, having a soft toy, a cuddly toy helps them. For even adults, but also for kids, having coloring, specifically mandalas that can really help calm people down. You can have books. Some people like to have music with headphones and you can give them a choice of music like classical, meditation, sounds of nature. So ask them, stress balls, what would help them in that space? And then what you can do is you wouldn't want to create agreements around the space. We have to do that a lot in classrooms because some kids will try to use the space to maybe avoid doing work. So you might say, it's okay to use this space. And once we've calmed down, when is the work going to get done? So it's not a punishment. It's them understanding that they will have to, still do that. We also talk about how long you stay in the space. Now, for younger kids, it takes them a little bit longer to self-regulate. One thing I like to do is I have these great timers for my daughter. This is the 1 minute timer. This is the shortest one, but I have 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, and 10 minute. So 4 timers. They're different colors. And she can go in the space and turn it over and she can watch the sand. The goal is maybe to start with the 5 minute timer and then go down to 3 and then to 1 so that they're learning to self-regulate a little bit, quicker. It's really nice if you want another activity to do with your children is to actually create your own timer in a sense, create a glitter jar. And this is a great activity to do with water and glitter. And you have them shake it up like a snow globe and they watch the glitter fall. And it's a mindfulness activity. They're being present in the moment. They're slowing down their breath and they're just watching it. And you're hoping by the time all the glitter falls that they've gone from here to here. And one thing that's super important, I really want to make this clear, is that when you've created this space, I love this in this book where the father is in the positive timeout space right at the end. And I think that's really important because number one, we all lose it. We all flip our lid. And one of the best things you can do as a parent is to model for your children. And if they're pushing your buttons or you're feeling stressed and you just say to them, I'm here right now. Doesn't mean talk to the hand. I flipped my lid. I need to go take a break. Take a few steps and you walk away and you go to the space, model it for them. And when you see them flip their lid, don't tell them to go to the space. Ask them, would it help you to go to the cool out space? Would you like to go alone or would you like me to come with you? Okay, because sometimes, you saw with Jared having a hug and having someone there could be really helpful. So I hope that gives you a few activities to do, creating the space, creating a mindfulness glitter jar, reading the story with your children, teaching them about the brain. And it gives you a tool at the very least to make sure that you're self-regulating and you're able to kind of keep yourself a little bit calm. Because remember, we can't make the best decisions when we're here, when we're operating from here. So we really want to reconnect because these connections, the more we learn to self-regulate, the stronger these connections get. So it's easier each time to catch ourselves and to calm down. So I don't want to forget a few announcements that I wanted to make. So just to remind you, I will be here starting Monday, I think it's the 23rd, at 8:30 p.m. UK time. I've realized, that now that my daughter's nursery is closed and my husband is working from home and I'm trying to work from home, that doing this in the middle of the day probably would not work and it would probably only stress me out. So I'm going to do it at 8:30 at night when my daughter is sleeping, and I should have some quiet time. And that will also help a lot of my clients and friends and people in the United States. It won't be the middle of the night for them. But if you live in a time zone where that doesn't work or you just miss it, your kids aren't going to sleep, then it will be recorded and I will be uploading it onto the Facebook page right after. In addition, I'm trying to create a YouTube channel, so I'll try to put it there as well and share those links. I want to remind you that starting Tuesday, the 24th at 9 a.m., we will be having I Grow Co. affirmation sessions with kids, which will include a meditation, a song and dance, a positive affirmation for the day, and that will happen on our Happy Resilient Kids Facebook group. So please join us there. Let me see if I missed anything. And one really important thing. When you create your spaces with your families this weekend, please take pictures of the space, what you're putting in the space, and please share them on our Positive Discipline UK Facebook page. Just, what did you call the space with images and what you put in it. It'll really help give other people inspiration, motivation, and ideas. So we'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to end this session. I know this is a long one. This one will be 25 minutes, but I'm going to try to keep them down to 15, I promise. I'm going to read just a very quick excerpt. This is our most recent parenting books for Positive Discipline for today's busy and overwhelmed parents, How to Balance Work, Parenting, and Self for Lasting Wellbeing. And I co-authored this with Dr. Jay Nelson and Christina Bill here in the UK. And I'm just going to read, it'll take a minute, a very quick excerpt from the chapter. We have an entire chapter about the brain in here. And this talks about the benefits of a positive timeout. Children do better when they feel better. Oh, sorry, I'm going to start over. Children do better when they feel better, as do parents. Positive timeout is designed to help children feel better so they can do better. It is a highly effective tool for children and parents alike to learn self-regulation. The old adage, time heals all things, is true. It is difficult to stay in the primitive brain when you take some time to do something you enjoy. Psychologically, once the stressful element is removed, the stress hormones abate and you start to reconnect with your thinking brain again. It is not, as some people may think, a reward for misbehavior. So letting children do something that they love or taking a time out, parents worry that it's a reward, and we really have to see it as a tool. Okay, and just remember, this can be your mantra. Children and adults do better when they feel better. So I hope that you will stay positive, stay healthy, and I look forward to seeing you on Monday nights. Please share with your friends and comment on the video, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.